Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody's having a great day today. How is everybody in the chat? A lot of people in the chat today. Thank you very, very much for being here. I hope I didn't bore everybody with my long intro. I decided to put a couple together last week, 2 weeks ago, because we never know when YouTube's going to send out the notification. So I figured this way, it gives me 3 minutes, 4 minutes to let YouTube catch up. So just something I did. But thank you, everybody, for coming in. We have a special guest today. And one of the people that I followed when I was getting back into reselling, because I'm going to ask, how many states have you actually been sourcing? Because this gentleman, I mean, if you have to see his videos, I put a link in the chat. I put a link to his page in the comments, and I'm telling you, you got to watch the antics of his sourcing videos alone are a riot. Not to mention walking the streets of Las Vegas during eBay Live. So without further delay, the bearded picker, what's happening?
Not much, man. Just enjoying the afternoon here.
How is the weather there today for you?
The heat's finally broken. I think we're finally out of the 90s, which is nice. It's what, 85, and humidity's only, it's like 50%, which is for here is wonderful.
Wow. Yeah, we get it like still 90s with 1,000% humidity. So yeah, it sucks. So let's go back. How long have you been reselling? How long have you been doing this eBay Amazon thing?
Full time since 2013. I did a part time, through 2006, 7, 8, 9. As a bill would come up or make money for vacation, whatever. Whatever. If there was something that I wanted, I'd figure out a way to make some extra money. But full time 2013. I was working restaurants, and I finally decided, maybe it's not the restaurants. Maybe it's me. Maybe I need to find something else to do.
So work in restaurants. I can't imagine you had that beard working restaurants.
No, you weren't allowed to have a beard at any.
Right.
Everything I did was all national chains, so you weren't allowed to have a beard. So the first thing I did when I quit was I quit shaving.
You save some money on razors anyway. So then how did you really start getting into? When did you start doing YouTube videos?
2014, maybe early 2015. I started hanging out. I really didn't know a lot about the YouTube community, and there was a morning show. What's Paul's last name? Paul Gummerson. I did it. It was old school. And he'd invite people to come on, and I finally got up the courage to go, hey, I'll come on. And people started telling me, you do your things completely different. You should start at least documenting what you do. So I set out the whole time just to show people me on the road, and some of, back in those times it was, oh my God, you can't tell anybody what you're selling because they'll find out. And hell, now Amazon said, hold my beer. I'm gonna put your name and address on the account now, so it don't matter what you do. But it's yeah, that was the whole goal, was just to show people how I process things on the road, where I was. It was more of, I really like diners, drive-ins, and dives, so I tried to incorporate at least one of those restaurants on a lot of trips.
Do you have the visor with the spiky hair sticking out of it?
No, but I've got an Alabama one, so does that count? But it was more along the lines of what was I doing, and I guess it was 2017. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be that different person. I'm just gonna start showing people, a couple months later, but a lot, like filming in a store, exactly what I'm finding, so they can at least understand and learn more about, processing RA, because there was nobody doing that at the time.
Right, exactly. And I got to say, we have another friend of mine in the chat, Jason T. Smith. I'm sure everybody knows Jason. If not, go subscribe to his channel and get on his oh man, and I just had
some kind of secret beach.
So the secret beach, yeah, and everything. But I'm telling you, when I've been doing eBay now for just before it became eBay. And of course, you do it off and on. But I figured when it was going to be my business, the thrifting board. Thank you, Jason. I should know that. But you get those old age moments, Jason.
Yeah. I might have met Jason a couple, 3, 4, 6 times. So yeah, good dude. Lots of fun.
Yep. So when I wanted to get into it, it was like Jason had the TV show on, Thrift Hunters, and then the board. And then we'd start watching you you're getting into BrickSeek, and you're doing all these trips like, oh, I'm going to get 9 million Monopoly games and send them into Amazon and stuff. And between the two of you, it really got me going. When you started, did you start with BrickSeek like right off the bat?
No, there was no such thing as BrickSeek when I started. It was It was a lot of, just getting out there and finding stuff. It was a matter of just starting scanning. That's what, people want to know, how do you find stuff? Hell, you don't have to do bricks. So you can get out there and scan it on your own.
Right.
That's generally, and that's the method. Brickseek has made it a little too easy for people, so they get kind of spoiled when the stuff is not in the store. So I do it backwards. I'll go find stuff, then I'll use Brickseek to find more of it. So I'll identify an item, and then to level up the amount that I have, I'll use Brickseek. But going the other way is generally frustrating.
Now, I mean, I know we're going all over the place here, but you will. I don't know how you hold your camera, if you have a mount or on your shoulder or whatever, but you're recording right through the door. You don't care. They don't say anything.
No, I generally, because it's a GoPro, I generally just have it in my hand. I'm respectful of managers and that kind of stuff. If somebody comes around, I don't want to look strange, so I'll just stick it in my pocket, and then it'll still be recording, and I'll bring it back out, and I'll just edit those parts out.
Okay.
When I first started, I'm like, you have to stop and start and all that crazy, and it makes all this noise.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I even stopping it? I'll just cut that out, and so I just turn it on, plug it in there, and then cut the pieces you want out of it. And the hardest thing is the music. Most stores have some kind of music. Right. I'm not the greatest editor, so trying to cover up the background. YouTube's a little easier about that now. They don't hit you as hard with background music, but before, it's a lot of fun.
Have you ever been approached or got in trouble from management for filming inside a store?
No, they don't. They have never said anything. I've been recognized by managers. They didn't know who I was, so I mean, I'm assuming they didn't care. The only issue I've ever had was at a yard sale. When I'm doing yard sales, I'll just wear the chest mount. And I had this weird lady that, once she figured out it was a camera, she's like, you can't record here. You can't. I'm like, no problem, ma'am. I have no problems turning it off. And I'm like, I'll delete the files. How do I know what you're gonna do? I'm like, I took the camera over there and deleted it in front of her. Well, how do I know that I was deleted? You saw it said delete file, yeah. And so I just Harlan was there. He was buying something. I'm like, dude, I'll go sit in the car. I'll wait. I'm gonna get out of this situation. So I just went and sat in the van. But that's the only person I've had. I had one lady tell me I bought something from her, and I was telling her I sell on eBay, and she's like, am I gonna be in your video? I'm like, I'll blow your face out. She's like, I'm gonna subscribe just to make sure I'm not on there. And she laughed. She sent me some notes, and it was a lot of fun. But no, most of the time, you don't talk negative about people. You have a lot of fun. I'm a person that enjoys. I'm a natural introvert, but when the ice is broken, I do fine. I'm not the person that's a good ice breaker.
Yeah.
And so people are fascinated about the camera. They're fascinated by that. People will actually watch what type of videos they watch. And so most of the time it's actually, how do you approach and talk to the person having a yard sale? The first thing, if I'm telling them I'm making a video, they're going to say, so what kind of stuff do you buy? That's your foot in the door.
Right. Exactly.
I like electronics. I like video games. Carry some business cards with you. I might have some of that stuff. I have had a couple callbacks, so it's not a lot, but you're never going to get that callback if you don't. Business cards are cheap. $15 you can get 1,000 of them from.
Exactly. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say, so that's, it has an advantage. It really, I try to be
find the camera as an icebreaker.
Right. I try to be positive too. So, it actually has helped way more than it's ever hurt. One person out of 4 or 5 years is not a bad thing.
Right. No, the odds are really good. So you started way back now, 6 years ago, is it?
Yep.
And when did you start the road trips? How did that come about? Because I mean, man, you've been all the way to Massachusetts. I don't know how you drove to Vegas, right?
I've driven to California twice.
Wow.
So I went through Vegas both times.
Sourced all the way there and all the way back.
The last time I didn't source. I'd only stopped like 2 stores on the way back. I was just ready to get back. So I drove from the last 2 times. Actually, I went to Vegas twice, and I've been to California. I didn't go to California on one of those. There was a separate trip to California that we didn't make Vegas. But yeah, I drove back from California in 2 days. That was not a lot of fun.
Wow. I even enjoyed the video. You went to a truck stop that was unbelievable. It was huge, huge. It was like the size of a small Walmart.
Oh my Buc-ee's, they're incredible, man. They're until you've been in there, when you pull up to a gas station, it's got 100 pumps out front.
Wow.
And there's the bathrooms are like Taj Mahals. There's like 40 urinals and 40 stalls, and that's just the men's room. I mean, this place is known for they've got a bathroom attendant in there 24/7, and both women's and men's to take care of this thing.
Wow.
It was really impressive. Merchandise from all clothing, shoes. They make their own barbecue. I mean, if you ever go through Texas, there's one in Alabama. They're coming out of Texas now, but if you ever go through Texas, get close to a Buc-ee's. And then the gas is very reasonable, so just to see it all is just, and get some Buc-ee nuggets.
Wow. Yeah, I had to watch the video when you and Harlan went there. It's like, this place is incredible for a truck stop, almost a truck stop.
Yeah, we've done the Texas trip twice for the green room, to do their meetup, and we stopped at Buc-ee's I think 4 times in 2 trips. We passed 2 to get there, and then you passed. We didn't go by them on the way back, so we caught them both times going in. We took a different way going back.
Yeah, I don't think he went into the women's restroom, Callie Picker.
Yeah, I didn't go in there, but it also had all the sinks and stuff to go with it. I mean, this place is impressive.
Wow. So when did the
trips?
When did the trip start? And what started about?
I don't recommend going full time like I did. I had a meeting with my bosses, and I was always the fixer. I did everything from work on the weekends in high school to district manager, and I was a training manager the last stop that I was at. And they were about to ask me to go to another store and transform it back to what it's supposed to be according to corporate standards. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. And this time I decided, maybe it's the problem is restaurants. I've changed restaurants every 5 years for 25 years.
Wow.
Thinking it's the restaurants, I was like, hell, maybe it's me. And so Joni's like, what the heck are we going to do? She was already on disability. For those you don't know, my lovely wife has had 4 back surgeries now. 2 of those were multi-level fusions. She's beat breast cancer. She's had several other surgeries. Her health for the last 10 years has not been the greatest. So she got a lawyer. We had to get her on disability. It still took a lawyer, which is crazy. But and so we had a year without her bills. So we'd already gotten rid of car payments, and we trimmed down everything we owed. So I didn't need to make a ton of money. I'm like, I think I can do it on eBay. I think I can go full time if I only do yard sales a little bit. What in the hell can I find? And so I started with yard sales and Goodwills in Wilmington, North Carolina, where we were living. And it was, there's 4 or 5 Goodwills there now.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at the map, and I'm like, oh crap, there's 15 in Raleigh. What am I doing? I could leave here in the morning and hit all 15 and come back by the time they close. And so that was my goal. And so I'm like, well, 15 in Raleigh, you add the ones in Durham. Now I'm up to almost 20. And then this is not counting thrift stores. And so it started with eBay. The first year was just only eBay. I was teaching a Sunday school class, and a guy asked me, how come you don't sell on Amazon? I sell on eBay just like you and Amazon. I'm like, okay, so I'm ashamed to admit this, but I was like most people. What do you mean sell on Amazon? Amazon is Amazon. I didn't realize there were third-party sellers on Amazon. I'd never bought anything.
I didn't either until you found
I never bought anything there. So he's like, I participate in this program called FBA. I think you'd be great at it. I'm like, okay, let's all right.
Let me interrupt you just for a second. Pat D's $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. You don't have to do that, but thank you very much, Pat. That was nice of you.
Yeah, Pat's I meet a lot of wonderful people. Pat's up the top of the list. What a good dude.
Oh yeah.
So that got me to Raleigh. And then as I learned about FBA, we were going on vacation, and I spent the week researching it. And I'm like, I was already buying stuff before on the way back. I'm like, this is going to be, I don't have to clean it up anymore. It's going to be all new stuff. That was my initial attraction, because I started in clothes like everybody else. I mean, people expect all of our stories to be different, but most people start with clothes because it's so plentiful. Right. Clean up shoes and that kind of stuff. I was terrible. I have no fashion sense. I was terrible. I knew name brands and that kind of stuff, but those name brands are now just dead. But and so Amazon, the allure of new products and to be able to sell a bunch of them. And so I took the same model that, I'm going to Raleigh. Well, hell, I can fill the van up. I can send it in. I started figuring out how hard would it be to send this in from a hotel room. What do I need? I need a printer, and I need a computer and some boxes. I mean, literally, that's truly all you need.
Right. And let me just interrupt you for a second. If you have not seen his videos, he actually does this from a hotel room. The printer, everything, the boxes, he'll buy, and then you have a two-wheeler, right? You bring everything into the hotel room.
Yeah, it's actually, it folds flat. It's a hand truck that folds flat. It's made by Costco, but not the warehouse company. And it'll fold. It'll do 4 wheels or 2 wheels. I generally leave it on 4 because I can stack up 3 large boxes going into a hotel.
You get people. We hear people all the time. Oh my God! Oh my death pile! Oh my death pile! And I don't know how to start Amazon or whatever. And here you are stopping at a hotel, and delivering the stuff to UPS the next day to get to Amazon, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's so there were maybe a couple people doing it, but they weren't doing YouTube, so there was nobody. So you had to invent this stuff on your own. And so it really, the one thing that I try to tell people is they ask me a lot about this business of reselling is you've got to do it on your own way. There's no right or no wrong way. There's your way. You can make your way work if you figure it out. So I figured out what I needed to take. I even got I've got a little like the little rolling filing cabinet, little black bags. The printer fits in there, so it just stays in there. I never even take it out. If I'm ready, if I need to leave, I just grab that bag. The laptop's somewhere around. The cameras got their own bag, so I can film. So you make it easy. I didn't never separate it, so I didn't. I'm like, how am I? I'm the world's most forgetful person. How am I going to not forget this stuff? I just won't take it out of the bag. Do things that fit your personality. And so there was nobody. So you, because you sit here and figure out, what am I doing to put Amazon? I'm doing Inventory Lab. You change your address where you are, and it's the shipping is no more expensive because it ships at the warehouse closer to where you're at.
Right.
So that's the only difference is you have different warehouses, but other than that, the process is exactly the same. You're just the thing I forget the most is packing paper. I end up having to buy it at Walmart most of the time.
Oh, okay.
But it was just a matter of how much stuff can you buy and how can I buy more of the same things. And the answer to your question is 41 states.
41 states. Wow. But now closer to the end here now, I mean, closer to the time now, you're getting most of the information from BrickSeek and then going to find that stuff, right?
Right. See, Walmart's changed. Walmart was one of the bigger ones. And Walmart has changed. They have taken Target's model, more of a regional clearance, it used to be where Walmart's manager had a lot of, when I first started, they had a lot of control over their clearance and markdowns and that kind of stuff. So you could end up in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and find stuff that's been sitting in that store for 3 or 4 years. And it'd be amazing the stuff that you could find. Now you can still find some stuff, but they are on a national clearance. And so a lot of that stuff, the clearance gets marked down the same as everybody. So you don't get rewarded for your efforts to chase as hard now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dan is in the chat, hide and seek picker. Now you have you're doing an auction tonight with Dan, right? He's trying to raise money he's a volunteer firefighter. Right.
No, he's not a volunteer. He's a part-time.
He's part-time.
He's actually in school to paramedic school. But me, Dan, Harlan are tonight. Eric will join us again next week. We just want to give him a few more lots. I don't know if I even have my lot. I'm probably just going to let him sell a few more. They need a ladder. And so he's trying the little town he's in, it'd be 6 months getting the appropriations out by the time it went through all their councils. And so he's just decided he'd rather auction some stuff off him and just purchase a ladder. So so his fire chief's going to be there, and some of the fire guys, some of his are going to be in the chat and stuff. So, for his part, he's going to raise money. He's got some great stuff. That the poster that he was talking about with you a few weeks ago will go up, the Creep Show poster.
Yeah, he came on. He was talking about. Yeah, I think he actually showed it, and everybody was drooling, and they wanted to buy it right then and there. But yeah, if you're around tonight, I asked Dan if he could put the link in to it tonight. He does have that Creep Show poster. I think he's got an Elvis poster.
Yeah, there
The
are two
Creep,
Elvis posters. Yep.
the Creep Show one, Jerry was telling him it does have a little tear in it. If he could send that in to get what's called linen backed, and they can repair that, and that poster could be worth as much as $1,500. I think Jerry was saying once the repair is made, and then it's linen backed. So it's definitely worth going to see. And I know Jerry's going to go. Jerry's going to probably want to bid on it.
Yeah, and let's see, he's got a computer he's putting up. He's got some pins, some music pins, different bands. What else did you have, Dan? Yeah, I don't have the link. I hadn't created a link yet, so I'll do it right after the show.
Okay.
I put it on Facebook, and Dan will put it around. But it's on the Bearded Picker. If you're subscribed to me, it's on my. I've got two channels: the Bearded Picker and Bearded Picker Live. It's on Bearded Picker, the big one. So
cool.
But this business is a lot about, you're if you're going to do this full time and truly treat this as a business, you're walking into the realm of the entrepreneur, because there's nobody to tell you, you don't have a boss. You're going to have to do things your way and figure this stuff out on your own. You're dependent a lot, especially if you don't have employees, like a lot of us do. It's just me. So I figure it out. And you can't be as concerned about, oh my goodness, what if I lose money on this item? That is a cheap lesson. People have a hard time understanding how much you learn from the mistakes whenever it's you.
Right, exactly. So now you've been doing this for a while. How long, when you first left your job and till today, how long did it take it where you had replaced your full-time income doing resale?
I replaced it in the first few months. I had no problem in the first couple months replacing what I was making.
Wow. So you were hustling.
Yeah, it's just imagine this. I was working fast food restaurants, and I was working 50 to 60 hours a week. So I was accustomed to working a lot of hours.
Right.
What do you do whenever you're going to channel in? There's no death piles or anything. So I was starting from scratch. So I'm buying stuff and immediately listing. I was actually in a good state. Unlike today, when I've got a death garage. But it was, when there's the one thing I can tell you that I've learned in my life that's worked very well for me is when the pressure is on me. That's when I'm at my best. I do very well with deadlines, and I procrastinate. I guess all my years of procrastinating have really honed my skills of when the pressure is on. It's kind of an interesting way to look at it, I suppose. But so I did very well with the pressure, and fortunate that I've gone to yard sales my entire life. So my grandparents, until they physically couldn't do it, had a store at a flea market, and they did the buy and resell my whole life. So a lot of it runs on both sides of my family. So I think one of the things people struggle with early, if they want to get into this kind of stuff, is they don't see the arbitrage. They don't see the difference between what an item is worth and what they can sell it for. But when you've been doing it as long as we have, that's all I see.
Right, exactly. I think that's when you hear about a husband and wife just getting into it, and like my wife wasn't into it that much until I would go in and say, "Oh, I just bought this for $1." And she says, "Yeah, so what? Well, I'm going to sell it for $20. Get out." And then she would get something, and that would happen. And then she got into it. And
people also get hung up too on I can't believe somebody would pay that.
Right.
And I get that question asked all the time. Who buys this? Who would pay for that? And my answer has been the same since I started full time. It's like, I honestly don't care. I'm just glad they do. You can't, there's so much that you can store up here, and trying to figure out why why does somebody in Nebraska think that's worth whatever it is. I'm just glad that that person is out there, and I'm going to look for another one, because they're not the lone one. And I think we get bogged down in a lot too much of the details that they really aren't important. The important thing is, another thing they want to know is, when I had the big video, I got accused of not paying taxes and being a cheat and all that stuff. I'm like, y'all do realize I get 1099s and pay taxes like everybody else. This is really, and now if they say something, I'm like, I don't know what I pay or what I do about account. Ask my accountant. I've had to hire an accountant.
Right. Yeah, it's a business. It's like a regular business.
Absolutely.
Jason said it took my wife finding $100 CD for $3, and then she really got it and enjoyed hunting.
See, I can't take Joni with me because Walgreens is. I'll go to Walgreens one way and she'll go the other, and we'll meet back up, and she'll have a basket full of stuff, and I'm like, "What's that worth?" She goes, "That's for me."
Yeah,
her pile's always for her. And it's not a bad thing. She's not into the reselling. But I can tell you this: that's not a bad thing if your significant other is not into reselling, because I can tell you one thing: 1,000% she supports what I do, and is very encouraging. And she likes to hear the story. She likes to hear, about the wins, and she's very positive at helping me, keeps me grounded. But they don't necessarily have to be in the business as long as they totally support you and support what you do. It's amazing the strength that you can get from that as well.
Right. But then she also has you trained, because I've seen plenty of videos where you said, "Oh, I got to call Joni, this Pyrex. I don't know if she has this one or not."
Yeah, she got more this weekend too. She got 3 more bottles.
Which is great too. I mean, you're out there. If you find something, great.
That does that eases some of the, because I'll be gone for 3, 4, or 5 a week. Last time I was out, I was with Dan in Massachusetts for, I think I was up there 9 days. About halfway through it, Dan, I had some crazy scheme, and I'm like, I got to call Joni and tell her I'm changing the flight. And so that, and there was no arguments, there was no anything. She's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, if Dan can put up with you that long,
that's cool. That's really good. That's really good. Wow, that's amazing, though. I mean, so are you just eBay and Amazon, or are you are you doing Macari now and Posh and Bonanza?
So you could look back at pictures of me 10, 15, 20 years ago. I'm still wearing t-shirts and cargo shorts. I'm never going to be a fashion person with Posh. I could learn it if I had to, but the one thing that I have found that I see in others as well is, if I don't like something, I'm going to struggle to list it. So, I'm going to struggle with clothing, that kind of stuff, because whereas this weekend I come home with VCRs and I list them and test them because I like electronics. So, if you want to really make it better for you, list the things and focus on things that you like. Jason will tell you that he does a lot of his travel around cities with tiki bars.
Right.
And he does the CD thing, so he goes places where that he can do things he likes, and so I focus on the same things. It's what I like to find is what I generally, I have started. So I don't do Macari, never done them, never done Poshmark, but locally, I sell online because there's people locally. Those damn people. But there's a local auction here that Harlan's done for. So if y'all don't know Harlan's Reselling Adventures. I go to yard sales every weekend. He's a truly good friend. He lives about 8 miles that way. So he's been doing this auction for years. And a couple of years ago, when I first met him, he was going through a tough time. He's like, "You've got so much junk. Don't you want to, so I can keep my tables? Do you mind for a couple months taking stuff up there?" So I had some experience with this auction. And so we asked the guy, "Have you got an extra table that I can start bringing stuff every week?" And he said, "No, but I've got an extra table every other week." I'm like, "Perfect. Whatever it is, I'll take it." So now I'm doing a local consignment auction, the same as Harlan uses, to get rid of some of this big stuff. I'm trying to move a lot of stuff that I know I'm not going to list out of here. So hopefully over the next few months, go every other week. So it's an 8-foot table, so I can fill the bottom and the top. So I can get maybe 15 lots of stuff on there. So
that's nice. Have you broken into doing storage lockers?
I've done 2 in my life. I have a lot of respect for those folks. That is a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe when I get this cleaned up, that's something, because I like doing it, but it's just I don't have anywhere to put stuff right now, and I didn't have an outlet. But that auction would be a great outlet for it, because there's lots of people who put stuff in that auction. That's what they do for a living. And so, hopefully, as I prove myself and that he has more space, if people come and go, he'll give me that next table for every week. And then, as I build as a way to get rid of stuff locally, don't forget, if you're going to start something like that, you've got to know how to get rid of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's not going to be stuff that you want to list online. You still got to do something with it. And the answer is not always throw it away. You're throwing money away a lot of times.
Right. Now, I have to ask this because I've asked everybody. When you did your first estate sale, were you kind of freaked out when you learned what happened? Like when my wife Sandy and I went to our first estate sale, I asked what happened to the owner. Well, he passed away. He diving. And I told my wife, I said, we're actually looking through some dead guy's stuff. I'm kind of freaked out by that.
None of that bothers me. It's just stuff. I used to get the comments a lot because, I'd refer to stuff like I got a bunch of junk. I got a bunch of, and other expletive words. And they're like, but that's your merchandise that somebody's going to buy. So I try not to be as negatively descriptive about.
Yeah.
But you've seen it all. So I don't know. Was Harlan with me? We went to an estate sale, and it turned out to be a living estate sale. They had Grandpa in a hospital bed in the living room.
Oh my God!
So you're going around buying this stuff out of this house, and Grandpa's still there.
Oh,
like,
that was never.
That was worse than knowing that a family member had passed.
Yeah, I could never. I would have had to leave. I would see you later. Have a good time.
Yeah, with the oxygen tank on, sitting there talking to people in the living room. I'm like, holy cow, this is something else. I've never seen this before.
Don't tell me smoking a cigarette with the oxygen tank either, right?
No, but I've seen that before. But no.
Oh yeah. I could never.
But it becomes, it's more like a thrift store because, these companies that run these estate sales, everything's tagged. So, the thoughts of it being somebody who is no longer with us doesn't, you don't think that as much because you're so focused on the stuff and values and, what can you learn of it? Because stuff right here is so strange. Huntsville, Alabama is a weird mix of technology town, a lot of history with all the Germans that come through here after World War II working on all the nuclear stuff.
Oh, wow.
And all the engineers that are here now. And so, yeah, we were at actually a estate sale last year that was Warner von Braun had drawn the plans up for this house it was a military guy who had worked for him the whole time he was over here. And knowing the history of the house was more interesting than somebody had passed away. There was some stuff in there, military stuff in there, and some different kind of papers and stuff from the rockets and the V5 and that kind of stuff. But yeah, just the history of the house was fascinating.
That's amazing. I tell people, because I go home to Massachusetts a lot, and I tell people, even though I live 30 minutes from Walt Disney World, I find more Disney stuff in Massachusetts and New Hampshire than I do here, living so close. It's like they all come down here for vacation. Then when they get home, they just get rid of it. They donate it or whatever.
Yeah, Moronic Pass has got a good point. A lot of the estate sales, oftentimes are, someone has moved in with their parent, moved in with their kids, or gone to a nursing home. They're not necessarily passed. So
right, that's true. I mean, I went to one not too long ago where the lady said, well, the family put her in assisted living. And I ended up making a deal for every piece of linen, and I still have a ton of it. She says, oh, there's more in that bedroom you could have. There's more over there you could have. It's like the whole back of my truck was full of this old ancient linen that I've been selling now forever. But yeah, she had just gone to assisted living.
The fascinating thing to me is, especially with estate sales, is being able to walk through and see the stuff that from a different time that people thought was important, the stuff that they held on to.
Yeah.
And, and that kind of stuff. It's very, very interesting to see the things even though a lot of stuff we don't use anymore or we consider collectible, with stuff that what people held on to, what they valued from the time, before the generations before us. So to me, that's very fascinating. So that I always focus on a lot of the different stuff. I don't focus on the
Right.
creepy.
Now, are you right now, are you more Amazon than eBay, or 50-50?
It's probably 80-20 right now. Amazon.
Amazon. And I was listening to you this morning with Steve and John, I think it is.
Oh yeah, Grumpy. Yeah.
Yeah. You ship stuff into Amazon every week?
Correct. There's boxes. They're still sitting there. I hadn't done much today. Yeah, every week shipments go in. I've got so much stuff that's got to get out of here. That's why I'm not traveling at the moment. It's difficult with all the craziness in the world, but also I've got too much stuff right this second. So
has the pandemic affected your business at all?
yeah, it's like pouring gas on a fire. And July 14th, I reached last year's sales on July.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been an incredible year so far, and I think the fourth quarter is just going to be amazing. The issues with shipping and the post office and UPS, and they're going to have some issues. I'm not as concerned about that. I'm going to do as much as I can for my part and let the chips fall where they may.
Yep. I have to get off my tuchus and get. I have a box of video games. They got 125 video games I've been meaning to get into Amazon. They're all in Inventory Lab, but I haven't shipped it out yet. And
yeah, Bargain Resales said CT Bids is a good site. The Carrying Transitions. When I lived in Wilmington, they actually had a franchise there in Wilmington, Carrying Transitions. The couple that owned that franchise were Ken and Katie, and I got a lot of stuff from their estates. So Carrying Transitions, they do a nice job. They franchise their estate companies out, and yeah, they do a good job.
Wow. So have you been traveling with the pandemic and as it is now? Have you been any since March?
Yeah, I've been in 14 states since this stuff happened. I told my doctor, I'm like, if I was gonna catch this stuff, I'd have caught it by now. Yeah, I've been okay. So Massachusetts technically wouldn't let me fly in without doing all that crazy. So yep. I visited New Hampshire.
Yeah.
New Hampshire has, they're kind of the wide open of all the northeastern states. I've been to Michigan and back. I've been to Ohio. We did the 127 yard sales. If you haven't done a long yard sale like that, oh my God, that's so much fun.
I did it one year. It was on my bucket list. I did it, and it was amazing. Driving through the mountains and stuff was amazing.
How can you argue with? Again, Harlan went with me. We started in Ohio and went until we ran into Dan, who was coming down this way, and then we picked up in Kentucky and did part of Kentucky. I bet we went to 350, 400 yard sales in 3.5 days. They were just that many. It's if yard sales are your thing, it's amazing when you start at 7 o'clock in the morning and it's 6 o'clock at night till you quit, and there's yard sales like every mile. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah. I don't think there was that many when we went. We left here, Orlando. I've been here 16 years. So this is 14 years ago, we did it. And we went I think we started in Alabama and made it all the way up through Kentucky. The only thing I didn't like, and this is just a personal thing, is there's only like 2 radio stations at that time, and all it was a preacher preaching or country music, and I'm not a country music fan.
Well, all that's changed now with all the streaming music services. I have Pandora, so that's generally what's playing in the van. So,
yep,
some version of.
A lot of glass, and at that time was a lot of glass, a lot of old Coke, and cast iron.
There's still a lot of glass when we saw tons of glass. We're like, I wonder how many years they've drugged this stuff out of these short sales on this highway. But again, how do you? So when we got back, we're like, we kind of did okay, and I felt like we could have got more. And you start looking at the stuff, and when you start pulling out, and you go to so many, you forget that you bought stuff the first day, and you forget the good finds. The last day that when we were coming back that Saturday, I picked up that faceter machine. They said that they're given to them by somebody. My dad looked it up. We want $50 for it. I'm like, I'll give you 40. I sold it for $1,126.
Wow, nice.
That was my best find of the trip. Harlan does Legos, and so a lot of his was a lot smaller finds. But when you start adding up the stuff that he pulled, you're like, man, we still did really well for the week, and we thought it should have been a lot better. So
now, is there like nothing you won't look at? Is it one of those things? If I can make a buck on it, I'm in.
If I can make a buck on, and I think I'll list it, I'll do. It's clothes. I still have a hard time with clothes, just because I've not listed them since 2014. I haven't kept up with what brands sell. What the big stuff. The big Tommy Hilfiger spell outs, and I've watched enough Rally Roots and stuff to understand some of that kind of stuff. But generally clothing I ignore, but nothing else. I look at any kind of toys. People say, "Oh, stay away from the pink yard sales." Little girls play video games too. There's still things to be found. I will do shoes way faster than I'll do clothes. So I don't mind shoes.
Wow. So there's nothing you won't, except clothes. It's the gamut. I know.
So you see Dan's comment. We were in a store up there, and we were looking at health and beauty, and I saw a box of Playtex Sports that are discontinued, and I grabbed that. I'm like, dude, can you sell those? Because those are money. He's like, he scanned them. He's like, no, I can't sell them. They're $2 a box, and I'm getting like 24 on Amazon. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of them. Wow. So it doesn't matter, especially on Amazon. It really, if you're going to throw it in a box and send it on, I've sold everything on Amazon, from personal lubricant to women's products to whatever. It doesn't really matter. None of that phases. I've put stuff on a counter that's been so messed up. I've had a cashier at Walgreens look at me and go, I was about to ask you what you're going to do with all this stuff, but that collection, I don't even want to know what you're going to do with all of it. It was ovulation kits. It was condoms. It was hair dye. It was all the stuff that you find on clearance, but it was just so random. I mean, it just kind of blew her mind. How many bras have I bought? Jason T. Smith, the king of bras. Dan and I was saying, so Kmart did bras as they were going out, and they had their bras stupid crazy off. It was a couple brands, and I bought bras all the way to Vegas and all the way back. I got back here with 5 large Lowe's boxes full of bras.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I do hear Jason talk about it all the time, and getting the real big ones and stuff.
Do you really need 50 boxes of Summer's Eve? Only unless you've got 60. Then I need 60. One of the things that you can do well is as they retire hair dye colors.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much hair dye I bought being a bald man. And nobody looks at you. I've had one young black lady say something, and it was here in Huntsville at a grocery store. And I'm like, you realize you're the first person ever to be curious as to why a bald man's buying hair dye. I'm like, it's taken 5 years to find somebody to ask me, why am I buying this? It was so funny. She was awesome.
Wow. That's amazing. So, I mean, are you also, because I didn't realize this until maybe a year ago, that you could sell used on Amazon. I thought, probably like a lot of other people, that's only new.
Certain categories you can. Electronics is one that most people will sell used. Amazon customers are just so freaking picky and peculiar that I'd much rather put it on eBay. That buyer knows exactly what they're looking for and understands the eBay system. Whereas an Amazon person, no matter what description you put on it, I've just had enough headaches with them that I choose not to. But you can, and people do a lot. I just choose not to.
Yeah, I haven't at all. And like I said, I didn't even realize you could until maybe just a year ago.
Like clothing, you can't sell used clothes. Of course, you can't sell used food, but there's electronics and several categories you can.
Right. And did you, when you first got into Amazon, because I know another thing that people struggle with, including myself, you got to jump over those hoops to get ungated in certain categories. Did you run into those a lot in your early Amazon days?
When I first started, some of that was just coming out. Frozen was really the first issue Amazon had with the counterfeits and that kind of stuff. They had a huge problem in 2014, 13 and 14 with Frozen, the first Frozen. So that was locked down that was the only thing I experienced. See, there were some category gatings, but they took retail receipts back then in 2014.
Oh, wow.
So to get ungated for grocery, which you don't even have to do anymore, I turned in grocery receipts from here in town, from Wilmington. To get into health and beauty, I turned in Walgreens receipts.
And you can't do receipts anymore.
Correct.
Now it's all from a distributor or whatever.
Right. A distributor, it's on their approved list because they have a list of vendors that they accept receipts from.
Right. It took me like forever to get ungated in Hasbro toys and video games and action figures and Star Wars. And then I'm listing video games, and then all of a sudden a Nintendo one pops up. Oh, you're ungated here, but not Nintendo. It's like, what the hell is the difference?
Yeah, and some of them every now and then DC will throw one too because DC Comics is one of the harder ones to get into. So
right, look, yeah, like I'm gated in the original DC Multiverse action figures, but not the new McFarlane DC action figures, which makes no sense either.
And I see a lot of people focus on that, and until you try to explain to them, there's more things in the world besides toys.
Right.
I understand that people understand the life cycle of toys because it's something that most people have experience with kids and gifts and that kind of stuff and being kids themselves. But you've got all of kitchen, you've got most all of outdoor, you've got grocery, there is so much. And the catch-22 is the more you sell in those other categories, they'll auto engage you in a lot of other ones.
That's true. But the problem is,
yeah,
right. The problem is though I used to own a comic store back in the 80s, and I still have a couple of accounts open with distributors. So of course I got back into toys, which sucks because Walmart will sell them for like $1 more than I pay for them on some. And then you got everybody on Amazon and eBay selling the exact same thing. But unless I buy the kitchenwares and stuff retail or clearance, I don't have an outlet. I don't have a distributor for that stuff.
Well, you could find them. A lot of people say, go to Vegas a couple times a year. ASD is the place to find out. But I would tell you, request a catalog, and then you've got a lot of vendors that you can make contact with, even if you don't go. Think outside the box.
Right. ASD is doing a virtual show right now this week. I got the email for.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun out there at Vegas. I had too much fun.
Oh yeah. I saw that. I would have loved to have been there myself. Very, very, very good.
Yeah, the last night at eBay Open, that was
yeah.
First time in my 50 years now I'm 51, that I'd ever been sick from drinking. And it's because we mixed other stuff with the drinking and that.
Yep. Good memories.
I don't remember a lot of it after I told them that it's about to get ugly.
I just remember part of the video where I think you couldn't stand next to the casino machine anymore, so you had to sit down. You were leaning up against it.
Yeah, when I sat down, we had to turn the thing off because everything started spinning, and it was the next morning when I remember anything. Good thing I had good friends around who made sure they delivered me to Joni, because I used up a lot of good husband points on that one.
Yeah. So what's in the future for Bearded Picker?
I think more of the same. A lot of people are worried about the future and how platforms change every year and that kind of stuff. I'm just elated to do what I do and be able to work for myself and have my own schedule. So however the platforms change, I anticipate changing with them. So whatever the current requirements are, that's just the game that's to be played.
Right.
So I'm going to keep doing this as long. We're going to ride this sucker out till this horse is just dead and gone.
Cool. Well, I think that's it. As an entrepreneur, we have to adapt. If we don't adapt, we die. A lot of people that feel they want to be an entrepreneur, there's too many of them that just, all right, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to open the store or whatever, and they want the business to come to them. They don't want to do the marketing or whatever, what it takes. And then, yeah, like you said, eBay puts changes, Amazon puts in changes, and they get upset and they bitch about it, but we just have to adapt and change. And that's how
Correct.
you grow.
And
But
if you also look back though, a lot of these changes are, whether you like them or not, are for your own benefit. I mean, I can ask your audience, a lot of them will tell you, we sold eBay before PayPal. That was, waiting for checks to clear and cash in the mail. Although it was fun to get cash in the mail, a lot of that craziness, and that's the reason for the feedback system, to help build trust, because you're sending somebody money before you're going to get the merchandise.
Right.
And so that's why it's not as important now, because you have a lot of protection.
Right. Anybody in the chat, if you have any questions, we have a few minutes before we go. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. And that's true, man. It was, getting the quarters and nickels and dimes taped to a piece of paper in an envelope with the dollar bills and stuff. Going to the post office with postal money orders and them telling you, you have to come back later. I don't have enough money in the till to pay you out yet.
Jason, every other day.
Oh, you do?
I just shave in the shower.
Yeah. What time is the auction tonight?
It's a 7 Central, 8 Eastern.
Jerry is gnawing at the bit for a chance to get that creep show poster.
So the one, I just lost my whole train. So the one thing I tell you about a lot of the rule changes, if you figure out a way to help look at things different, look, what does Amazon struggle with? They've struggled a lot with the counterfeiters and the crazy people from China and all the stuff that's not legitimate. So what happens if Amazon's customer base can't trust Amazon to give them the products that they're actually at? It hurts us all. And so at some point, as long as you can, continue to do what you do and understand that sometimes rules have to be put in place for our own good, whether you agree with it at the time or not. It's protecting your way of life to begin. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. NASCAR man says, when are you coming to Rhode Island again to meet up?
I don't know. Y'all are crazy up there about y'all's COVID restrictions are pretty insane.
Yeah. That's why I haven't gone home yet. We were supposed to go home last month, and it's like I have to sit at home for 2 weeks just because I have Florida license plates.
Well, if you fly into New Hampshire and have somebody with Massachusetts plates pick you up, you're good.
Yeah. And Frozen said you don't need to be ungated to sell in groceries. Since when?
I thought for the last couple of years they've taken the gating off of groceries. I'm pretty sure they did. A lot of new people can sell groceries without any issues. The big thing about groceries is the gating on groceries was only because the expiration dates are so different than anything else that they really wanted you to understand about expiration dates. And it's got to be, you got to have at least 90 days before when it's received, if they'll even receive it. And then at 50 days it becomes unsellable, even though it's still in date. So there were some little picky rules about groceries. So that was the reason for the gating there. It wasn't anything in particular about.
I know you use Inventory Lab, but you do not use their repricer. You use a different repricer.
I didn't know Inventory Lab had a repricer.
Yeah. I had Inventory Lab on a couple of weeks ago. I forget what it's called because I don't use it. Of course, I don't even use Scoutify, which I'm not using Inventory Lab as to my best, what I should be doing.
Yeah, I use Aura. Very happy with Aura. I've used them for the last couple of years. They are the first repricer I've had that doesn't just automatically decide the best thing to do is drop you to the bottom.
Right.
There's some different strategies. The guys there that run that thing are very smart, and they can give you personalized help to help locate the buy box, because sometimes you can be too high and there's no buy box. So if you come back down enough to get to the top edge where they'll allow a buy box, you'll sell a whole lot more than a missing buy box. And so there are a lot of strategies that it's different when the people who are running it and own it are sellers themselves. That's helped out that's worked out very well for me.
And do you still use BrickSeek?
Yes, I do. I have the $30 plan.
And
because it doesn't take much. How many items you got to find for it to pay for itself. So
true. I look at it once in a while. I haven't paid for it. I just look at it once in a while.
Yeah, Dan said customer service is fantastic. Or yeah, Dylan, James is the programming side, the kind of the brains behind it. I think Dylan just moved back. James already lived outside of Boston, and Dylan moved up there too. So now they actually live in the same state. But yeah, Dylan's a good dude. Yeah, he's a wholesaler. He runs a Facebook group, and he gives a lot of information to if you're doing wholesale with his group. So
that's cool. That's the big thing is customer service. Any other questions for Bearded Picker Scott? I know Buying Spaces. Where's Harlan? Don't we get a 2-for-1?
See, the one thing y'all don't realize, Harlan has a job.
Yeah.
Harlan, you guys see him on weekends and stuff. He has a job, and so even though he has a lot of perks and a lot of times he works from home and that kind of stuff, he still has to answer to the company he works for. So although I will catch up with him in about an hour, it's Tuesday night wing night. One of the restaurants over by his place does 50-cent wing nights. So we meet up there. Joni goes every now and then. I think she's already canceled on us today. Yeah, I think her and Jacob were, I forget what they're eating. Our 22-year-old son still lives here. He just graduated college. He still lives here. So they were getting something. So I think it's just me and Harlan tonight, but
that's cool. And then Steve, your other partner up there, he started his own auctions.
Correct. He does his on Monday nights. We do Tuesday nights. Steve and his brother and brother-in-law. So the brother and brother-in-law have been cleaning out estates and stuff. So they've got a lot of interesting stuff. So
yep. And then John is riding his trike in the desert or something like that.
Yeah, he's got one of those whatever they're called. He's the old cats that live in the community he's in all had the razors or whatever they are. So, and they go out for a couple hours in the morning, right at sunrise, just riding to the desert and ended up where they end up. I think one of the guys kind of knows the area very well, so they don't get lost. But yeah, that's what they're doing.
That's cool. Janet says, I would like to hear more about selling on it. What can you sell? Wow. Janet, I would say just go on Amazon and see what's being sold. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of things you'll be gated in, and you have to get ungated to sell them.
But there's tons of stuff. Like somebody mentioned up earlier, Walmart has been clearancing out in their sporting goods, a lot of fishing gear. That stuff is available to most anybody to sell. And every Walmart they've had it in every one I've been in. So I have ignored most of it.
Yeah, funny. Your Walmarts, like ours, will have a lot of guns right there out on the shelf. And because I used to be management with Walmart, I transferred down here as management with Walmart. And that blew me away because back in Massachusetts, there was no way there was a gun in Walmart at all.
Yeah, but you move from craziness to the Wild West down here in the South. The ones with the best laws are Tennessee has some of the best gun laws. I live 12 miles from Tennessee. They have some of the best gun laws. They actually, if if they deny your right to carry concealed with a legally recognized concealed carry permit, and something happens to you, they are legally responsible for what happens to you.
Oh, wow.
So you don't find a lot of places anymore in Tennessee. They passed that bill a couple years ago. You don't hardly see I think they exempted like banks because they don't want people carrying in banks. But as long as it's not on that list of banks and like concert venues where there's, or maybe bars, but anything else, if something happens to you and they've denied your right, your constitutional right, they are legally responsible medically and everything else for what happens to you. So you don't find it much.
Wow, that's unusual. Well, we're just about out of time. When Walmart opened in Mass, they had guns. We had BB guns. I was there when the first Walmart opened in Massachusetts. I was assistant manager.
Yeah, I got recognized somewhere at a Walmart up there. Dan can tell you what we were. It's a place that makes the starts with an S. Dan, where were we at with that assistant manager? I come walking through and he sets up and he goes, "I recognize you, bearded picker." It was like 12 o'clock at night in a Walmart. We were in Athol. That was crazy.
Wow. Wow. Well, bearded picker, this was great. Thank you very much for coming on. We'll definitely have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, I'm the world's worst about checking email, but I'll try to be better.
No, this was great. And Dan, thank you very much for helping me set this up. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for coming in. Please hit the thumbs up. Please like, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing more interviews like you've seen. Tomorrow we have Swap Meet Wednesday, where I let you guys come in and be the seller. 3 items, 1 to 3 items, fast paced. I'll help you do it. Usually it's 15 minutes per seller. That way we can get through 4 in an hour. Any final words? Oh, bearded one.
Nope. I love reselling. I love helping others and just giving out information. But at the end of the day, you still have to make it your own way. Figure out, no right, no wrong. Just figure out your way. And then if you can do that, the sky's the limit.
Right. It's just basically getting out and doing it.
I mean, you can look at me and Jason in the chat. Just a couple ugly bearded guys making a good living. So, hey.
And with that, everybody, thank you very much. And I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget about the auction tonight. Look at the comments. Bearded Picker's channel is in the comment section. Please help Dan out to raise some money for the fire station. And I know Jerry will be biting at the bit to get a chance on that Creep Show poster. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you, Bearded.
Absolutely.